Good morning to the honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, respective radio stations island-wide and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Justice, Anna Richardson, to address you. Minister Richardson, you have the floor.
A pleasant good morning, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, members of the press, Ms. Roach, Team DCOM, those tuned in online via the radio, and a special good morning to all senior citizens. I'm here to share a few updates about the Ministry of Justice. As we stepped into this beautiful month of November, a time when we see that we are traditionally coming together to give thanks for the many blessings of our lives, it is crucial that we also remember the significance of the month in our fight against domestic violence and gender-based violence. November marks the occasion when St. Martin recognizes domestic violence and gender-based violence awareness as our month, shedding light on a critical issue that affects our society. We urge you to join us in the essential campaign by staying updated on the various awareness events that will be hosted by different foundations and the ministry throughout this month. Together, we can raise awareness and work towards a safer and more respectful community for all. In addition to our commitment to this important cause, we are aware of the challenges that are being faced during your daily commutes. The recent heavy rains have created hazardous road conditions, with streets bearing the scars of erosion, resulting in large potholes. We appreciate your caution and patience in navigating these obstacles and assure you that we are actively addressing the situation. School traffic has long been a concern, and we can see that CAPASM has plans in the pipeline. However, I must advise and clarify that as of Monday, October 31st, 2023, no such scenario has been put into action by CAPASM, contrary to what many may have believed, especially with news articles published to further indicate such. I do believe CAPASM has also put out a statement to indicate that what was published was premature. To address these pressing matters, we have scheduled an urgent meeting today, Wednesday, November 1st, with various relevant ministries. Your input is invaluable, and we take into account your comments, your posts, even your messages that we are receiving as we go forward with these discussions and how to be able to address and alleviate the traffic situation and improve the roads. I must mention that yesterday, my person, along with, as acting Minister of Education, along with the Minister of Finance, who's acting Minister of ROMI, we did visit the Oranio School on Front Street. We had a great opportunity to sit with Mr. Stuart Johnson, representing the Y2 and the teachers. It was a very fruitful discussion. There was a great opportunity identified that there are some some rooms, some office spaces, etc., with air conditioning that are in a better state than the classrooms that the teachers have stood ground that they would want address after so many years. And I feel confident that our news article we've published captures exactly what we discuss and what is actually being executed as we speak. We wanted to be able to ensure that the teachers and the students be removed from the environment of being outside and in front of the school, etc. The children are there for a learning environment, and the teachers are there to be in an environment where they can teach. So we totally hear them loud and clear. I'm very happy that the proposals made by my person, as well as a very great one proposed by Minister of Finance, and I'll let him delve into that if he wishes to, was received positively. And we do have some persons, I believe, at the school currently now doing some assessments to be able to support the transfer of the students and classroom structure from where they currently were situated into those more air-conditioned and more learning environment-friendly spaces. So all in all, I'm happy about what we've been able to achieve, but the minister and I, along with Minister Education, who's returning to the island today, will be continuing to focus that not just the Oranio School, but all schools that have been calling for these matters to be addressed, that the requests will be expedited, because education is very important to us, and we want the environment to be proper. With that, I'm just going to close by saying that together, let's embrace the spirit of November, a time of gratitude and for standing up against violence. And let us work collaboratively to make our community safer, more accessible, and better for all. Thank you for your attentions. Stay tuned to the ministry and for our updates, and I remain available for any questions that the media may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Artwell Edion, to address you. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. I'll first begin in the capacity of acting VROMI. As Minister Justice mentioned, yesterday we had a meeting with the management of the Orania School and also the president of the Y2, where the president also brought the concerns of and the plight of the teachers, not only of Orania School, but of all public schools, and the concerns that were understandable, and we address those concerns. Right now, as we speak, there are members of the VROMI department assisting the teachers to move all their chairs and tables into the spaces allocated for the students who come back in tomorrow, air-conditioned spaces. We also provided resources for some extra fans. In addition to that, we have expedited the process that the Minister of Education has started in regarding to the cabling. One of the issues is that the school does not have the proper cabling and system, amps from GB, to be able to house air conditioners. So we can't just hook up air conditioners to the school, so a whole infrastructure process needs to start in terms of cabling. That process has started. In addition to that, in our discussions, the president also brought forward that it's not just one school, it's multiple public schools. And then there we finalized, or let's say we started a plan of how we're going to address this. In a couple of weeks, we will have a tender out for air conditions for all the public schools that need. In addition to that, while that is being processed, we'll be looking at the cabling of, in particular, I believe, Ruby La Baker School that still needs cabling. So cabling from the GB aspect, and then still cabling from the main line to the building. So it's two different sets of cabling. So I look forward to this process. We also discussed the state that the school is in. So some urgent repairs that the school needs to have on the roof and some other areas, and all of this will be done, start in a couple of weeks. So I'm thankful also for the cooperation of the management, the union, but of course in particular the parents, the teachers, and the students. Continuing with VROMI, it's no secret that the island has experienced a significant amount of rainfall in the last few weeks actually. This has left a significant impact on our road infrastructure, which the Ministry of VROMI is currently assessing. This morning, I want to first ask the motorists to continue to exercise caution while using the road network. The ground is extremely saturated, and as such, we will still be seeing water on the streets in certain areas. Please take your time if you see a particular part of the road still filled with water, and also look out for pedestrians on the roadside as well. The public can rest assured that we are doing all we can to quickly address the situation, as we are inviting experienced contractors with a background in road repair to participate in a critical meeting scheduled for next week, Monday, November 6, 2023, at 10 a.m. at the government building. The purpose of this meeting is to identify and compile a comprehensive list of companies on the island with expertise and capabilities to undertake road repair projects. The ministry will gather information on contractors with road repair experience to establish a pool of eligible companies for upcoming projects. Ministry officials will discuss and document the extent of damage in various locations, including but not limited to the L.B. Scott Road, the Union Road, Sucker Garden, St. Peter's, South Reward, and Coal Bay. This assessment will enable the prioritization of repair efforts. The meeting will also serve as a platform for outlining the road repair priorities and strategies for efficient project execution. Again, the Ministry of VROMI understands the importance of maintaining a safe and reliable road network for the community, business, and the public services. So we encourage all qualified contractors to attend this meeting. To confirm your attendance, please email the ministry at minvromi@stmartingov.org. That's MINVROMI at SINTMAARTENGOV.org. Now moving on to the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is proud to announce a groundbreaking initiative that will have a profound impact on the lives and future of its citizens. In a strategic move towards fostering economic resilience and financial empowerment, November has been declared a National Financial Literacy Month. St. Martin, as a small developing state, faces distinctive economic challenges and opportunities with this unique context. Financial literacy has emerged as a linchpin for our community's well-being and prosperity. And we have a whole month of activities starting already as of today, up until November 30th. Actually, a few of them are already full. But in the first 24 hours, at least 4 of the workshops or courses have been already full or over capacity. It also shows the demand for knowledge in this area on the island. And what we are now going to be looking at possibilities of either extending or adding additional courses to the month. I'm very excited for this. I believe this is something that we've needed for a long time. And I'm also looking forward to transitioning just from a financial literacy month, but actually having financial literacy in schools from a very young age. And I think as we strive to be a more independent nation, we won't become independent without the proper knowledge and foundation, which starts with financial literacy. And that'd be all, Relika.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Silveira Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relika. Good morning to you. Good morning, of course, to my colleague ministers here with us and those following with their staff. Good morning to the members of the press here present and those following. Of course, good morning, a pleasant good morning, and welcome to November to the people of St. Martin. As we step into November, I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone. As you know, we have been celebrating the year or the month of jollification since 10-10-23, leading up to St. Martin Day. And so within the next few days, we will be celebrating St. Martin Day. I also want to congratulate my colleague, Minister of Finance, and the ministry for declaring November as St. Martin's Financial Literacy Month. Indeed, building individual financial literacy, collective financial literacy will mean a more sustainable St. Martin moving forward as we do better with what we have and also learn to invest so that it can grow. It's an opportune time for us to delve into understanding and managing our finances better, something that we as government are doing, but also that we as families and individuals should do as well. Congrats, Minister. I do look forward to the courses that I also signed up for, so we all can stand to grow and learn. Let's not forget the jollification season, as I mentioned. So as we prepare for St. Martin Day to be celebrated together with our French counterparts, the festivities have already been made public. So I encourage all to look into the schedule to see how you can participate to make it a meaningful one for you and your family. Don't miss out on these special events. It promises to be a one of reverence for us to remember, for us to come together, but also to cherish and celebrate the essence of who we are as a St. Martin people. I would also like to take the time to extend condolences to all those families facing loss at this time or still struggling with loss that has been felt over time. Continue to seek assistance. Do not allow yourself to be stuck in a negative space. We do know that SZV is covering, and once you go to your general practitioner, you can access assistance for mental health challenges. I know in the recent conferences that I've attended, and I must commend all of the organizations that are bringing so much awareness to mental health, as well as to health in general. A lot is being said on the subject, and so hearing all voices and finding out what's actually already being done is very, very important. So we speak from a position of being in the know. Of course, there's a limit in space. I'm beginning to understand based on the reports and also from those conferences that I've attended. And so there's even been a call to the churches and the other NGOs who do have services that they offer, counseling, etc., and that persons look within their circles, within their families, always find a sounding board to assist you in dealing with the challenges that you're facing. Never give up. Keep your faith strong, because that plays a big role as well. From those, I would like us to also address some of the non-communicable diseases and awareness for those. I do understand that there's also coverage for assistance in improving your nutritional health. So that's also a preventative measure that is covered by social health insurance. And so I encourage the persons, as was mentioned during those conferences, to turn to more whole foods that we need for our nutrients, to drink plenty of water, to ensure that you're feeding your mind and spirit with meditation and or prayer and physical movement on a regular basis, to be healthy and not wait until you're in a state of degeneration to try to fix it. Prevention is always better than cure, and spending quality time with family, loved one, and friends also builds and connects our mental health, helps us to see that we're not alone in the situation. It also shows, when we talk about the NGOs, the churches, and the other organizations like Rotary, like Lions, that it requires collaboration. One hand can clap. Government can, provide opportunities, but of course, within the community, SDG 17 comes alive, where we partner for the goals. I also want to take the time to thank the EOC, who really supported very well during the passage of the hurricane, but the rains continued way after EOC was deactivated. And so the ministries, the Ministry of Rami, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Tiyat, Feyasa, all had to continue on their own with their ministers, of course, to do what needed to be done, and they continue to do the work. It is civil servants, it is human beings that are doing the work, and so I want to give them my utmost gratitude for what you've been doing. As was mentioned by my both colleagues, of course, the heavy rains, though we cannot term it a disaster, has led to situations that require fixing. So we do ask your patience as we address all of these situations and ensure safety on the roads, not just for the vehicles, but also for the pedestrians that have to make use of our road network. Civil Registry Department also is updating that the eligible voters in connection with the upcoming parliamentary elections to be held on January 11th, the following. You're invited to visit the Civil Registry office on Saturday. They're offering walk-ins November 4th and Saturday, November 18th. Of course, we skip the 11th as it's St. Martin Day. To be able to rectify anything related to your ID cards, that is from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. That is November 4th and November 18th. So I encourage all who have challenges or don't have a valid ID to come in during that time to have that fixed. And the SMDF is still searching for an external statistical consultant who is well-versed in data collection. Today is the deadline for the application, so please ensure that you have put together a well-crafted and all-encompassing report into single-use plastics and polystyrene foam products. Remember, it's up to us to limit the trash, limit the pollution in our landfill. And so I'm looking forward to the awareness campaign as well as actions coming out of this consultant's work. The Sister Borgia School is celebrating their anniversary today. I do my reading there on Wednesday mornings and saw that they were celebrating. So I want to just take the time to wish them a congratulations on their, I believe, 45th anniversary. And congratulations to the Catholic School Board and all students, former students, teachers, and staff. And to the awareness of abuse. I add my sentiments to those of the Minister of Justice. It's not a month thing, it's an all year round thing, but we will definitely delve into spending more time updating and bringing awareness to ensure abuse does not happen at any level within our community, and that we are not condoning it either by our silence or by snickering behind our hands, because the famous adage that we always say here in the Caribbean, today for me, tomorrow for you. So let us ensure that we're part of the solution and not part of the promotion of negativity and abuse towards others. Thank you, Relaika. With that being said, I will leave the floor now to the media for questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. Thank you for joining us. We now move on to the question and answer session. And Bibi Hatshaw of SMN News, you have the floor.
Good morning, Relaika. Thank you. Good morning, colleague ministers. Good morning. My first question, and I like to have it as a follow-up based on statements made by both the acting minister of ECYS and the Minister of Finance, Vromi. You spoke about the Orania School and even the Ruby Labego School and the repairs that had to be done. Ministers, since the passing of Irma, the Nagico Insurance paid out government a sum of money to repair damaged buildings. Why weren't these schools repaired? Why wasn't the cabling and other upgrading done? I mean, the best islands have had air conditioning in all their schools in the best islands. Why are we lagging behind? Why does it have to take a protest before something can be done? And I could understand clearly it's not you two are acting ministers, but this should concern everyone. And Minister of Finance, since I'm asking these questions regarding repairs, projects, etc., I'd like to ask you about the marketplace. Last night, a former cabinet staff of TIAT sent out a press release accusing you of holding up funds and holding back the marketplace project, claiming that you're playing politics. I'd like to know exactly who is financing the marketplace project, because based on the press release I got, it didn't say government.
Regarding the process and regarding the schools, so I haven't gotten an update on in particular, because only yesterday I was being able to delve into the matter with the different schools. I understood that the process had started. I'll say that funds are there for the public schools in terms of the repairs, and I understood that the advices were not finalized or being finalized. So we'll be expediting that, as I mentioned before. And I don't like to make comparisons to the best islands or any other islands in particular, because when we make comparisons, and sometimes we got to take the good and the bad, right? Because the best has different taxes that we don't have here, right? So if we mention one thing, then we have to start mentioning all the different things that the other islands do have and we don't have. So I like to focus on St. Martin. At the end of the day, yes, it is hot. This year, I believe we had one of the hotter summers. I think the world itself is heating up. So we just have to be accountable for ourselves, and this is something that we need to do, and something we are going to get done. So like I mentioned, within a few weeks, that you will see activities within that area in terms of potential tenderings for ACs, the cabling, the maintenance of Orania School, among others. Now, regarding the other part that you mentioned for finance, I believe that misinformation needs to end now. So I was very surprised by the article. It just shows me someone that's desperate for relevance and attention in regarding this matter. This has absolutely nothing to do with me in terms of being paid out, and it also shows that the lack of information that was being distributed within the department that he worked. I highly doubt that the individual worked on any advice regarding the marketplace. I'm pretty much sure that didn't happen. And second to that, this project isn't a project that started this year. I remember when I came in, first was a member of parliament. I heard of a project and I saw visuals for Marketplace already. So this isn't a project of today. The last person that I had a conversation with in regarding Marketplace was about a month ago, and that was the Chief of Staff of the Cabinet of TIAT. The minister yesterday did update me that he is feverishly working on the Marketplace, and he should have something sent to the Council of Ministers in short. But this is no politics. There's nothing to pay. There's nothing for us to execute. It is not in the hands of the Minister of Finance at all. I want to make that very, very clear.
Thank you.
So,
If you know, do you know if the individual in question, is he computer literate at all?
no, that's not a question for me.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Bibi. I would like to now invite Jacqueline Hoffman of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you, Royalka. Good morning, ministers. Minister of Finance, is there any indication when the budget debates will take place? The budget debates, and for this budget 2023, there's 10 million on the budget for new tourist tax and at least 400,000 for ship registry. Has any of that money been collected? And if not, how will these gaps be closed?
Regarding the budget debate, that schedule can't be out as yet, as we are awaiting the response from the Council of Advice, the Raad van Advies. As soon as being given back to us, the Council of Ministers then has to send it on to the Parliament. So, of course, we are aiming for the month of November. And regarding the ship registry, I would have to refer that answer to the Minister of TIAT. I'm not too sure how far the process is. I could say I don't remember any collections being done in this area. But I do know we have, what has helped us a lot with the budget this year is actually through the Ministry of Finance, and that's with regarding tax collections and the cooperation we have with Ministry of Rummy regarding the AirFPAC. So we have been able to increase our collections, and that has significantly helped us to balance out the budget for the rest of this year.
And does that cover the 10 million in tourist tax?
For 2020, yes. For 2023, yes.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Jacqueline. We now move on to the second round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Royalka. Ministers, and I'm posing this as a general question because I don't know who would answer it. The Economic Development Corporation, EDC, recently it has been activated. Can you tell me when are the projects are going to be worked out? When is the rollout on these projects? And also, if you can give me an update on the Prince Bernard Bridge project, when will this be completed? And if you have any update on the other projects that was released by the Minister of Romy, for example, the bird watching by Prince Bernard.
Okay, just to be very, very clear, I am not the Minister of TIAT. Just to be very clear to the public. I'm also not the acting Minister of TIAT. So regarding the EDC, I'm not fully up to date on this area, and do know it has been reinstated, activated, and we haven't gotten a recent update to this. So again, I have to refer that question to the Ministry of TIAT. Regarding the last two projects that we released were the hard surfacing of roads. I believe there are two tenders out, one for the concrete and one for the contractors. Those are the two most recent projects. Regarding the bird watching, I did see a final draft of that advice. So I'm not too sure where that is now in process. I know the minister was also working on the walk path for the elderly. I might have gotten the name wrong, and that's in the Great Bay project, where we have, he has developed a project that allows persons with different disabilities easy access to the beach, which is I think is a beautiful project. And the Prince Bernard Bridge, I believe also the Ministry of Rummy, they already started a project on their own. So a portion of the project will have to be readjusted because the government itself initiated a pretty much significant portion of the project. So that has to now be adjusted, and that will continue very, very soon, I believe, also in this month. So the Ministry of Environment will be very, very active within the next 6 to 8 weeks, with all these different projects happening and rolling out.
Thank you, Minister Eden. Thank you, Bibi. Jacqueline, you have the floor.
Prime Minister, could you elucidate about the response letter to Crowley about LNG in response to the visit of the Minister of TIAT, Mr. La Cruz and Mr. Gibson to Puerto Rico? And the last week you explained that GB has dual fuel and LNG engines. St. Martin has a fuel network. How much money has there been reserved to adapt and change this network to LNG?
Your questions are quite technical, so I'll refer those questions in terms of the transition to GEBE. First of all, the first part of the question, we did have a Council of Ministers meeting yesterday, which was delayed for the obvious reasons, as was stated in press briefing. However, the minister updated that, yes, it was a fruitful meeting and follow-up needs to take place with the relevant ministries, because energy doesn't solely fall by TEAT. So it's partially the responsibility of TEAT as well as VROMI, and the necessary persons within the ministries would have to meet to determine the best way forward based on the information received. But of course, it would have to involve GEBE. So there is a energy work group that includes the relevant ministries and NVGEBE. So this will have to be tabled there and then be elevated back to the Council of Ministers. So until that takes place, I have nothing further to say on the matter. I just mentioned last week that since we've been here, GBE has been mentioning that in their planning that they were, let's say, making it possible to transition when and if necessary. They are currently busy with their strategic business plan. So hopefully once that is finalized, we'll be able to have a more concrete plan from GB's perspective on the way forward. What we have is a draft roadmap for the transition to energy, which has several phases, of which solar was the first phase. So GB is committed to work along with us on this, and so I look forward to hearing from GEBE as to the way forward with all the different possibilities for alternative energy, of course, ensuring a just transition, and that might be a strange word for us, but ensuring that the transition from heavy fossil fuel to whatever the alternatives are does not jeopardize anyone's possibility to make a living. So a training program would be also part of that to ensure the employees can move from what they're doing now in a phased approach to a more sustainable and renewable energy source, so that, and of course, it has to be affordable. So looking at all those aspects and the funding that is needed, that's also on the table, and all possible sources are being looked into. So until I get an update from NVGEBE and the work group specifically, advice from them, I cannot elaborate further. However, you can follow up with either the Minister of TIAT and or VROMI and GB itself. The money for what exactly?
For the training, for the
involve NVGEBE, whereby you can do a build to own type of a plant or system, whereby investors would pay, and over time it would become the property of NVGEBE. But all of that is contingent upon their business plan. So we will look at the most feasible way to invest, but we have, let's say, received pledged support also coming out of the climate conference that we had in Aruba in March, that there would be funding for the Coast Islands to assist us with the transition. The amount is not known, and so any, let's say, kleine beetjes, little bits, will help to reduce the investment needed from external, which is out there in the market, and ready and willing to come on board for a private-public partnership. So those are the options we're looking at.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. Thank you, Jacqueline. We now move on to the third round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Minister Irian, again, I'm going to ask you this generally. Flooding in the Caribbean has become a norm due to the climate change. What is government doing to upgrade its deplorable draining system? And is there a budget allocated for such, whether it's in this budget or next budget? Is there a budget for this?
So there is a road network plan, including proper drainage, and I think that's being updated. And once that's done, then we'll be able to allocate funds towards this. Yeah.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Jacqueline?
I would like to ask a follow-up question about the marketplace. What was exactly what is the hold-up for the marketplace? And during the time that the building will start, what temporary solution will be found for the vendors, since they are dependent on this and have not earned any money in the last couple of days?
Yeah, so I saw in the Ministry of Rummy, I saw a potential area for a temporary marketplace. And regarding the hold-up, honestly, that's within the ministry. So that's just an advice process, I believe. I know there were some discussions with the port and the cruise line regarding the part of the financing. So I don't know if that's where the hold-up is, but I do know that from our end, it just needs to be finalized in terms of an advice. As I mentioned before, there's nothing for us to make a decision on in the Council of Ministers. I haven't signed anything as yet, so I don't particularly know where the hold-up is. I do know that the Chief of Staff was pushing for it a while back. That's the last discussion I had with him.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Jacqueline. We now move on to the fourth round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Prime Minister, I'm going to ask this question, even though I believe it's a Vromi question, I'll ask you this question. Can you give me a status update on the over-the-bank land, and when will government take the land policy to Parliament? And what is government's stance on the position taken by all notaries on St. Martin? I'd like to know what's government stance and when will the land policy be taken to Parliament? And the reason I ask you is because as the chair lady of the Council of Ministers, I guess that you're updated on this, because now today we are in a situation where notaries have taken a stance, no approval of leased land.
Before I pass the word to the acting Minister of Rummy, who is ready and willing to address some of the points brought forward, I want us to understand, because sometimes when these questions are asked, and you're the chair of Parliament, you're the chair of the Council of Ministers, you're the Prime Minister, you should know. We must be able to understand that in our system, there are certain authorities that lie solely with ministers. For certain actions that they have taken a decision on or a plan for, yes, they come to the Council of Ministers for an approval, but many of the authorities do not require a Council of Ministers decision. We can get updates on them, and some things, basically, yes, it's something we have to improve in terms of ensuring we know what each other are doing. But a lot is happening, and the time to share that type of information isn't always there. So our council meetings are already quite long with the decisions we have to take, and still we plan in time for discussion items. So these type of things may come up in a discussion, especially if it's playing, in the public, etc. But the purview of land and giving out land does not come to the Council of Ministers. So with that being said, if there's a policy or if there's a legislation related to it, it would come, and I am awaiting further updates on that. And the Minister of Finance, Acting Vromi, will be able to give you further details.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. Minister Edion.
Easy day. Regarding the land policy, I saw that there is a final draft. The minister and I were supposed to discuss that this week when he returns. So the final draft is in the building. I'll await the response from the minister, and then I guess he'll update the public on this.
Jacqueline, you have the floor.
Minister Richardson, recently you had ads out about fraud. If you're a victim of fraud, file a complaint with the police. People that invested in carbon, there's tens of them that have filed police complaints about fraud. and up till now there is no decision made in a criminal investigation, or so how does that jive?
Yes. So first off, I'm aware that there are a number of persons within our community who are experiencing a tough time with the circumstance of their situation. I did have a conversation with the chief prosecutor on the matter. I was made to understand that first and foremost, this is a civil case. But of course, a judgment was passed, and the judgment has, to my understanding, has not been honored or adhered to. So there is a discovery being done by the prosecution services as to how the matter can be handled. So I will say that the prosecution service is looking into the matter because it is not immediately a criminal case. It's a civil case, and but it does have the attention of the prosecution service.
If someone sells units to different parties up to 3-4 times and has different prices on it, different mortgages, has it mortgaged off, doesn't deliver on what is paid for, how is that not a criminal case?
So that was handled in a civil suit, Ms. Hoffman. So at the end of the day, the matter was taken to court. And it was taken to court as a civil suit. I believe if the persons feel like as though it is a criminal matter, then a new case would have to be brought before the judge, or in this case, via the prosecution service.
Sorry, there were tens of civil suits, and the civil judge said this is a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is fraud. That would be criminal.
Okay. So then the proper criminal proceedings would have to take place. And that is something that has to be prosecuted or pursued by the prosecution service. So as I indicated in my earlier statements, it does have the attention of the prosecution service. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Jacqueline. As we do have the time, we will allow one more round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ruleika. I'm coming to you, Minister Irian. A few years ago, I can't remember exactly which year, but I believe the harbor had presented I don't want to say master plan, but a plan where it states that government can get a fee of approximately $5 per tourist that passes through the harbor. Can you tell me when will this be implemented, or if it is being studied, and will it be reflected in the budget of 2024?
So I'm aware of the master plan of many years ago. So I don't know if that has been updated. I do know that there has been an agreement in regarding an increase in, I forgot the exact name of it, but fees from every cruise passenger to government. So there is a current agreement in place, and it's going to be in a phased approach. So I don't know if that's part of the master plan, but I know that there is an agreement between the government and PSG with that regard.
Thank you, Minister. Jacqueline, you have the final question.
Prime Minister, since the World Bank set up office in St. Martin, how has this influenced the working relationship? Has it intensified? Are there new upcoming projects? Can you elaborate on that?
Thank you for that question. I neglected to mention that there will be steering committee meetings here in St. Martin next week from Monday, so the entire week, whereby representatives from the bank, besides the regular ones that are here, missions are ongoing. In fact, there were missions in September and October as well that also bore good fruit. So they come, they have assessments, they look at progress, they look at ways to improve the progress, and that is the main goal moving in now. So all of the projects have been committed to ensure that they can be executed within the project time when it closes in 2028, is to stay on track. So it's a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month activities that need to take place. And we are noticing that we need to accelerate in some areas to not lose out on those projects. So next week's steering committee meetings will bring to the fore exactly what needs to be done to ensure that all of the projects can be executed. Most of the projects are in various states of either preparation or execution, And so I would have to have an overview to be able to send that, and NRPB updates on their website on a regular basis. So I can ask you and the general public to look on that site to see which projects are ongoing. They put out tenders all the time, and they support government in ways in terms of with tendering as well and procurement for our projects. With the bank being on the island, with the opening of their offices at the central bank's offices, there's better opportunity for collaboration and to ensure understanding of each other's roles to accelerate the project. So the bank is willing to do the work. Our execution agency, the NRPB, is doing the work. And of course, government is required to do their part in all aspects, remembering that these are our projects that are being executed. The continued interest, of course, nobody's more disappointed when we came in. Everybody was, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? And Minister mentioned about schools as well. Several schools, 27 schools were on the list to be fixed, and some have been fixed and the others are rolling out now. So those projects are rolling out, school repairs and preparations for mental health project, wastewater, EDMP, the BREEAM management, all of those are in critical stages of actions that we can progress to be able to get them finalized in the time span of the project. So check the site, and you can await the updates after the steering committee meetings next week. Rolika, with your permission, I'd like to touch on another question that was asked. The Minister of Finance, I think, addressed it. However, structural changes, long-term structural changes like infrastructure, cannot be done just because a hole opened in the road today. That would be ad hoc fixes that you do have a small operational budget for. But reality is that we did not, for several years, have a capital loan for these type of longer-term planning that would include drainage and the like. So these are problems that have existed for many, many years. We also have investments needed for the pumps, etc. I saw some social media videos, etc. And that's why, we have to be quick in our information to the public. Even though at 2 a.m. that road was flooded, when I passed at 7, it was completely clear. So once the pumps get moving, once the changes, the ponds are drained to a certain level when we anticipate rain, however, at the end of the day, it will fill up because of the amount of rain that falls in a short time. And if we can recall, when we've had these type of flash flood warnings and advisories in the past, it has led to death based on how quickly the cul-de-sac area around the pond can flood. And that's why we constantly warn, even if it's just an advisory, to be careful on the roads. And yes, we can share videos quickly, but then also share the video when the road is clear, because persons would have thought that that road remained flooded. What was explained to me from the VROMI department that deals with this is that it's built to drain at a certain rate currently. So of course, if rains fall for a longer time, it will take longer to drain. So what would be a flooded area right now within 20 to 30 minutes will not be the same, even with the regular drainage. So I'm asking for understanding that we did not have capital expenditures for these type of investments for a very long time. And this year, 2023, we're finally able to do so after, is it 9 years, Minister? Almost 10 years. So of course, we are backwards in our investments. But luckily, we did have some investments taking place on St. Martin via the trust fund and private investments from insurances. So with that, I hope to clarify certain matters, and that we also give and look out for the updates when we do have flooding in particular areas. So bear with us as we structurally address these matters. So the plan is in place now. Hopefully it will be approved soon. Capital investments are there, so the execution can take place.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. For rebroadcast, tune into stmartingov.org. St. Martin Gov Radio via 107.9 FM, Tel TV Plus Channel 15, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rolika Roach and wishing you a